Our cover story tonight is from Iraq, a country in the grip of violent protests. At least 100 people have died, more than 6,000 have been injured. These are anti-government protests. It's been almost 1 week since the protests began, and there are no signs of tensions abating anytime soon. Thousands of people have taken to the streets. No particular group is behind this protest. People from across ethnic and sectarian groups are involved. They are unhappy with Iraq's economic recovery or the lack of it after years of conflict, and they blame the government for not doing enough. To be fair, this government was appointed only a year ago. It's a government of technocrats, but the protesters already want the Prime Minister to quit. Their demands are simple and clear. They want more jobs, they want corruption to end, they want better government services, and they won't shy away from saying who is not delivering. Not just the ruling party, these protesters are against the entire political establishment of Iraq. In response, the government is pushing back hard. Curfews have been clamped on various cities. A near total internet blackout has been imposed. The attempt is to make it harder for the protesters to mobilize. The military has been deployed to contain the agitation. It is only making matters worse. The troops used brute force, as you can see. They fired upon innocent protesters. The images are disturbing. They show indiscriminate killing in Iraq, protesters ducking gunfire, shots raining on them. The United Nations has expressed concern.
We are worried by reports that security forces have used live ammunition and rubber bullets in some areas and have also fired tear gas canisters directly at protesters. UN human rights staff have confirmed the death of 12 people in Baghdad. We call on the Iraqi government to allow people to freely exercise their rights to freedom of expression and peacefully assembly.
The government's high-handedness is only fueling public anger. The backlash has forced the Iraqi government to order a withdrawal of troops. The Iraqi army has been asked to leave the Sadr city, where dozens of people were killed and wounded over the weekend. Prime Minister Abdel Mahdi says he's helpless. He says there is no magic wand to solve Iraq's problems, but he did offer a concession. 3 days ago, the Prime Minister promised to introduce a minimum income scheme. The protesters say this is not enough. They want more. Iraq has the 4th largest reserves of oil in the world. But according to the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, 60% of Iraq's population lives on less than $6 a day. That's a little more than 400 rupees a day. Unemployment is a major issue among the youth. Iraq's unemployment rate stands at 10% today. Only half of the country's population is part of its labor force. Millions do not have access to basic amenities like clean drinking water, like healthcare, power. Iraq's infrastructure remains in tatters after years of war. The government also finds it hard to fix this. Its hands are tied on the economic front. Iraq has a massive public debt. It's around 48% of its total GDP. But the West has moved on from this crisis, it seems. It's a crisis that India, though, should take stock of. Iraq is the largest supplier of oil to India. In the last financial year, India bought more than 46 million tons of oil from Iraq. While there is no threat to the supply just yet, India cannot afford to ignore the situation in Iraq right now. An escalation could trigger a larger crisis. Historically, India has shared close ties with Iraq during the Saddam Hussein era. It has been trying to rebuild its relationship after the wars, but the progress has been limited due to ongoing tensions. Before the Gulf War in 1991, there were 80,000 Indian nationals in Iraq. Now that number stands between 15 to 17,000. More than 6,000 of them are employed at an oil refinery in the Karbala province. There is no news of any Indian casualties in the current violence, though we'll keep track.